What's up, guys? Mega Bleeder here with another episode of Dusty Hell. I'm getting home after exploring that new POI there you saw in our little clip. This is our haul. So we've got a bunch of the resources that we needed, and actually I took the things that I needed to complete this quest, which was making a basic circuit. We're going to need a lot of these going forward. We're probably going to need to automate, well, we're definitely going to need to automate plastic and the PCBs, these printed circuit boards. This plastic is just any plastic, any 4 plastic. You can see it's kind of 4 sheets there. Oh, apparently even 4 plastic will make 4 plastic. That's weird. And these printed circuit boards, you need the pressure chamber to be able to make these and these capacitors and these resistors. The unassembled PCB needs the assembly controller or etching acid. We'll get the laser program, or we can just toss it in here. I think there might be, yeah, the UV light box. There's a couple of different ways that we can do this. But the next location is like -2000, and that's where we'll find the NASA workbench. But what I want to work on today is getting some more of this stuff set up. The assembly controller, we're not going to need that just yet. I know I'm going to need the compressed iron and the pressure tubes, but we are going to build a pressure chamber. So the pressure chamber itself is a bunch of different configurations. I'm not certain if it has to be a 5x5 to be able to do like this recipe. I don't know if the internal slots matter, like if it's a 3x3, if it can only, no, I don't think so. I think it's totally fine. I'm going to make a 3x3 because it also stores pressure and it's a multi-block in itself. Like, let's see. This multi-block storage can be used as an air storage. So think of it as a battery. If you make a giant pressure chamber, it's going to take a long time to fill, and it takes a long time for the compressors to get up to like a good operating speed. So I typically, until you get farther into the mod, don't like to build a big 5x5. I'd much rather have a 3x3. Between the episodes, though, I did do a live stream and built this cactus farm, which isn't completely efficient. It does lose some of the cactus. I do need to encase it in glass because some of it just falls out on the outside, and I don't really have a good way to solve this. I mean, I guess I probably could put down some fans or something like that. I also built a sugarcane farm, which isn't like crazy efficient. I mean, it's pretty good, but it works on a timer that runs, and I've got a half a stack of items. Just when it shifts through, it triggers all the pistons. But those drop into a hole there. I also built a mob farm. It's just a dark room mob farm with some redstone lamps so I can turn it on and off. I also planted an orchard that's got tons of different fruits. For food, I'm actually using peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, or jelly of some sort with peanut butter. So we've got kiwi, blueberry, cranberry. This one's grape, blackberry, and raspberry. You can hear I also have some farm animals, and you can hear I figured out the hydration pack. You have to craft this with water, with purified water to fill it. But I bought the spawn eggs for these guys from the market, and every once in a while I just go through and feed all of them. I also set down an apiary that has a queen bee that's just being recycled through, and that just gives us some extra honeycombs and some bee grubs. Our farm here, I've got stuff planted for the peanut butter. I also set up an automation for water, so we've got a ton of water currently, and that's just cactus that goes into a fluid transposer that's on empty, and it just squeezes the water out of the cactus and it gets you a half a bucket. And if we head downstairs, you could see we've got cactus dropping in here. So we've got 9 stacks of cactus. We've got 3 stacks of sugarcane. The cactus later on will also be able to turn into charcoal and creosote. The creosote we can also run in a compression dynamo. There's not really a good use for it. I suppose we could make a compression generator and we could turn the creosote at a 1-to-1. We'll also get some power out of it. Here is our mob farm. So I've also got witch water here so that we could put witch water down to get like skeletons, wither skeletons. But currently not using that, so I just store it in there. We can flip this switch and that'll turn it on. This is just a redstone torch tower that leads up to turn the mob farm on and off. And any second now we'll have mobs start to drop down there. But everything gets collected by this vacuum hopper. Gets picked up in here. I do have a trash can and a filter on this node, pulling out all of these items coming into this trash chest. I did set up automation here for hammers and also some redstone automation. So this will output a signal and it will actually turn off the hammers. All I have to do is dump sticks in here and cobblestone in here and it'll start crafting up hammers. They get pulled out and sent into the users. Once this backs up on hammers, that means that all the users are full of hammers, then it will turn on and start hammering cobblestone. But we've got a decent amount of resources here. I haven't set up ore tripling yet, but we do have ore doubling. I mean, we got 70 stacks of redstone and 3 stacks of diamonds. Coal, we got 74 stacks of coal, which is pretty sweet. Okay, so I moved our smelter down here and got some electrum cooking up. Also, from outside, moved the cobblestone generator and lava production. So we've got our pyrotheum here and our cobblestone. We've got our pyrotheum and crucible making lava. We've got our cobblestone here using our transfer node and our mining upgrade. And then we've got lava piping downstairs. I've also got a drawer here for obsidian. And then I just pipe that down the back wall here and it's piping into this tank and this tank. So we've got lava here on tap and it's far enough away that it's not negatively affecting our heat. I've had a couple of creepers drop in here. Apparently they identify as cacti and they wanted to join the party. So our pressure chamber, what I'm thinking is there should be enough room here to build that. And the way that I'm going to do it, this will be our input, this will be our output, and then we should be totally fine if I take a valve, pop that down there, boom, we've got a pressure chamber. Now this guy, we want it, let's see, it's export mode, filter, items, creative tab, building blocks. Item begins with, item name contains, items. I think we want it on items for right now, and we're going to have to filter it as we go. Block can be import export, pressure chamber, IO, use filter slots to select items. So I think what we can do is set it to high signal. It's saying that it needs a signal to export, and we will wait to change that until we have the filter. And yeah, that should be totally fine. Now, getting the pressure in here, can we put a valve on a wall, on a corner? No. Okay. Good to know. So what we are going to do is pop down a pipe right here. We'll get a compressor there and a compressor there. Now we are going to want to regulate our heat or our pressure. with this guy. And once the bar fills up, we'll want to turn those off. But I think let's, for now, start with just a half a stack of coal in each one. Basically, that's going to cause these to kick on. Don't know if they produce heat. Those might also produce heat. But that's why I kind of moved it up there so it'd be out of the way. And it's not going to be negatively affecting us when we're standing close to it. But we can send a redstone signal out of this. And I think I could actually put this here. Yes. And I think, let's see. If I grab some redstone. Yeah, so that'll pick up a signal and we can figure out a way to use that. All right, so check this out. I've got our pressure gauge 2 module there, right between our air compressors. And what I did was put a little dot of redstone down right there. So right below our pressure tube module is some redstone, and then a comparator in subtract mode. Then I've got an extra utilities redstone lantern set to 7. So when this hits a power of 8, it will subtract 7 and output a power of 1 into this repeater, which will then send a full strength signal out to turn these off, and these are set on low. I also piped these guys up with reinforced retrievers that are hooked up to my drawer controller, so they will pull in 1 coal. Not to, like, I mean, we could keep a whole entire stack in here. We've got like 70 stacks of coal, but we'll keep it in here just like this. And so this guy hits 4.1 bar. Oh, there's an item in there. So we can kind of show that here. We can change that to low signal. And then that'll output it. It will lose some pressure, right? I think we have to... We can't just take it out of there. We need like a hopper. So let's grab a... Let's grab... a omnidirectional hopper. And another chest. I do have the indexer here from Extra Utilities, but it's just kind of slow. So I really only use it if I know right where stuff is. Did that pull out of there? That did pull out of there. It's just a little weird. Yeah, that's what we want. Okay. And, oh, wait, I can't reach that. That's kind of a bummer. So I guess I'll probably use an item duct, and this will let me be able to access this. So if I set this to always, then it'll pull out items. So that item got dropped in because I was messing around with the configuration. What I did was I put another valve here. So this, the pressure chamber, is like a battery for compressed air. And I could expand this. So the way that it's set up currently, I could move it. I could change it into a 5x5 pretty simply. It would just come out farther and be a little bit wider, which wouldn't be a big deal. But I put a valve on the bottom and ran a pipe out, and I crafted up the charging station because it was really simple, just some cobblestone, some bricks, and some pressurized tubes. And this is what we'll be able to use to charge up our like our wrench and our armor and stuff like that. So, but I had to put this here. I had to put something down to close off the tube. And one thing that you want to keep in mind when you're building a pneumatic craft system is every block has pressure that the system has to equalize out to. So if I had built this a 5x5, it would take way longer to charge. It is a little bit better when you get these like advanced tubes. These can transfer pressure faster, and there's a higher limit. So these are limited to just 5 bar, and these can go up to 20. And this you can also upgrade this, I'm pretty sure. Let's see, volume. Yeah, so you can increase it so it'll hold more volume. You can also put security upgrades on it so that they will leak air when they, let's see. So you could put a security upgrade on there and it will leak air once it hits its max before it hits this red line here. So the chamber, like right there, and then even this guy has a max. So you could put security upgrades in there, but the problem with those is they leak air. Like it'll actually vent it out into the atmosphere and it'll make like little hissing noises. So I like to set up a little redstone circuit, and this will probably be enough to last a while until we build something new. So what I want to do actually is work on, we could probably make this. I think we're going to need circuits for each one. We don't have enough printed circuit boards, but it looks like we probably do have enough. Yeah, it looks like we have enough materials to be able to make these. Blue plastic. Maybe we don't, actually. Actually, you know what? I think we do. One thing that we can do easily now is get more compressed iron. So we can pop this in here, and if we take an omnidirectional hopper and pump those in, once it stops transferring the items, I think, then it'll, yep, close the door, it opens the door, and we'll see it pop into here. And then it's transforming it into the pressurized or the compressed iron, and we can pop that in a filter, or we can just change the redstone signal here. We can use a lever, and that'll dump it out. It is slow, but we can set a filter to that. And I'm not certain. Filter items. Redstone. I'm not certain if that will make a difference. We can craft this way faster now. This is a lossless system, like average material loss 20. So if you tried to blow up 100 iron, you're only going to get about 80 compressed iron back, versus this is just a straight 1-to-1. And then we also have more stuff. Like if we needed to make diamonds, we could use coal. We can make empty PCBs now, etching acid. We can make the transistors and the capacitors. Apparently we can use it for enchanting somehow. We can make turbine blades. The turbine blades are used to make drones. We can make harvesting drones. The harvesting drone, we can, I think, replant crops. Okay, so we can use it for crops. That would be pretty nice. I think there is something, the drone interface allows a block. No. I think there's a way. I think you have to link them to a charging station. Yeah, drones, blah, blah, blah. Upgrades. Yeah, I think there's something with these upgrades here. I've never really messed with the drones from Pneumaticraft, but that would be fun to set up. Along with compressed air, we are going to need steel. So that means we're going to need a high oven controller and a scorched drain. The high oven control, these scorched bricks are just seared stone over bricks, which is not a big deal. Now, I'm not certain how this works. Okay, it looks like I can put things in through that UI. I was wondering, I don't know, I don't think I have much coal or much charcoal at all. Let's see. So if I drop this in here, we're looking to make molten steel. Now, I'm not certain if iron chunks work in this. They do to make steel. So we need iron, we need sulfur or niter or gunpowder. Okay, gunpowder and redstone. We'll use gunpowder, redstone, and sand. So gunpowder, sand. We'll grab this iron and some redstone. So let's see. We put sand in there. We put redstone. We put gunpowder. And it's currently 5 blocks tall, so we can fit 5 pieces of iron ore in there. Let me see if we can hopper in through the controller. Yes. But it's not hot enough, so it's got to build up heat. Okay, and for this we need charcoal, coal coke, and those are the options. So I need more wood. That's going to melt down. We can go ahead and get a drain for that. Pump that out. These faucets are actually they can move any fluid from any container. So like I could pump lava out of this portable tank into another tank or anything like that using one of these drains. That's going to take a minute to process. What I'm going to do is cut down some trees and get some more charcoal. All right, there we go. So I got a little bit of charcoal cooked up. I made some hardened fluid ducts. These just take a little bit of Invar and a little bit of lead. These can take hot fluids, so we can do molten fluids with this. So boom, we've got a block of steel. And this is, I think, what I'll just do for steel production for now. I do have more charcoal cooking up. I just grabbed a couple of pieces that were already done. And I actually saw, so there's a couple of ways to make charcoal. We can use hay bale or we can use cacti. So once we get a farm set up, we can use either one. We do have a decent amount of cacti here, and that'll be a lot of charcoal. But we'll pop that in there. That'll sit and process and make a decent amount. It looks like, let's see, 9 ingots plus however many that is. So I don't know the exact ratio for that, but it's pretty decent. And what we can do is take our plate cast and pop that back in here. And to be able to make, let's see, these guys, we're going to need 4 for each one. And we're going to need, I think right away, we're going to look to make 2 of these. So we can get this plant gatherer and plant interactor. We're also going to need the bioreactor and the biofuel generator. Blaze rods, we're going to need a compactor. That should be okay. We've got everything that we need for that, and we're also going to need a furnace, which I have there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these. So that will get us 2, and that's going to melt down in there. That seared stone, that can come out as ingots. This is going to keep processing. We've got a bunch of steel here now. That's awesome. So that's 2. That's 6. And what was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we need 1 more steel ingot, which will pop out right now. And that will get us all of the steel that we need. Let's see. That's seared stone. That wasn't enough to make an ingot, but that's totally fine. We don't care. We'll take that. casting table, and we need plates. And that is just steel, so let's go ahead and set that guy to export. That's going to pump out all that. I'm going to let this guy do its thing some more. Our high oven's getting really hot. We're going to need to build a bunch of these high ovens later, because these are going to be our, I believe, actually the induction smelter. I think we could get to this. I don't know that there's anything really holding us back from getting to this and then using this for some of our other alloys, like flux electrum and stuff like that. I don't know that there's anything in here that says we have to go the high oven route. I think it's just power is part of the issue with the with all of these machines. But if we go with the bioreactor and the biofuel generator, that won't be a problem. So the bioreactor, when provided with power and biomaterials, will produce biofuel. Each item will increase the efficiency of all the items by 10 millibuckets. At a maximum efficiency, the reactor will produce 1,440 millibuckets, consuming 9 different items. So what we're going to do is have our plant interactor set up on a farm, and we can make all of this. We're going to have to get hardened glass first, which is totally fine because it is just a induction smelter. So it'll take some obsidian and pulverized lead, which will be simple. We'll just have to, let's see. Yeah, so we can get, yeah, that won't be a problem at all. We'll have to make an induction smelter. So we'll highlight that too, which means let's just go ahead and get 4 more steel cooked up. But with the bioreactor, we'll be able to take all of our crops because these all craft into seeds. So we'll just have to put 9 seeds down in a little tiny farm, and we'll let the plant interactor click them. We'll put greenhouse grass or greenhouse glass down and these crop supports that are kind of buggy for whatever reason. We'll put those down. That will grow our crops super fast. Happy New Year, by the way. That'll grow our crops super fast, and we'll be able to turn those seeds into biofuel, and that's where we'll get our kind of initial source of power. And one bioreactor will actually create enough biofuel to be able to be used in a bunch of these biogenerators. Let's see. Produces power when provided with biofuel. A bucket of biofuel will produce 160 RF per tick in total. About 28 of these generators can be run from one bioreactor. So that's pretty crazy if you think about it. At 168 RF per tick, what is that? 168 times 28, or 160 times 28. That's 4,480 RF per tick. That is a legit amount of RF. So I'm going to let this system kind of do its thing. We've got tons of steel. We've got tons of electrum. We're going to go through oil processing. And oil processing is important for plastic. So to be able to get plastic, we need liquid plastic, which comes from LPG and a thermoneumatic processing plant with coal. And the LPG comes from liquefied coal or crude oil. And we put that in a refinery stacked up 4 high. And we can process down. So we could use like crystallized oil, refined. How do we get crystallized oil? We throw crystallized canola seeds into refined canola, which I think the refined canola, yeah, we're getting through a fractionating still. And crystallized seeds are from an atomic reconstructor. So this is like way down the road. But basically, we will use canola oil in this guy with a little bit of soul sand to make crude oil. And that goes in the refinery to make diesel, kerosene, naphtha, and LPG. all of these can get processed down into LPG in some sort of way or another. So we'll have to get that set up. But we've got a ton of steel now, which is awesome. I mean, look at all this steel. Holy. There's another 7 ingots, so I need 7 ingots and 1 nugget. So that's a little awkward. So we need 1 ingot and 8 nuggets. That'll melt. Yeah. Okay. And that's got 16, 17 blocks of steel. Look at all that steel. Just a minute ago, we had 0 steel, and now we've got a ton. We got like almost a stack of steel, or 3 stacks of steel. Awesome. Oh man, let me tell you, this took way too long to get set up, and it is an absolute monstrosity. So I am going to break it down because that's what I do with pretty much every single build. I have some sort of concept in my brain and I'm like, okay, that'll work. And then I start to lay it out. It doesn't work, but then I have a proof of concept and then I rebuild it. So as you can see, I had to cap off my smeltery here because there is just not enough room. And this does function. I do have liquid plastic and LPG and everything getting processed, but we don't have enough compressors. I did switch to liquid compressors, burning lava. Lava's not that great. It's clear down here. So liters per bucket. I mean, liters of air, I suppose, per bucket. So something like LPG, gasoline, like these are way better. And I do have a surplus of LPG a little bit. Not too much, but I'll probably just run these off of lava since lava is free. I might have to ramp up my lava production. I'm not certain if we make enough. I think we might, but our 1 crucible might not be enough. Let's see. If we wanted to get some more pyrotheum, some pyrotheum dust, blazing pyrotheum would come from a vat. So this is a long ways off. So we can't get any more pyrotheum, but we could put more crucibles down with lava, heat sources underneath, blah, blah, blah. So I might end up doing that, but what I think I'm going to do is move that system down here because it'll be easy to pipe lava down from where we're making it upstairs down to here. And then we've got water, so I can move our mycelium and our soul sand down there. To do this, I just have a retriever filtered to soul sand pulling from these. I've got our big tank here. So we've got our cactus getting turned into water. That's getting pumped out into our barrels. And then I've got a drawer here that's pumping sand out into these barrels. So it's a nice little enclosed system, but it's just way too damn small. And we don't produce everything well enough. And it's a huge headache. Getting this plastic out of here, I could pipe this plastic out. Let's see, LPG into plastic and then into the plastic mixer and it would work. But this is just a terrible system. It's just terrible. Some of the stuff doesn't process all that well because there's not enough heat, like diesel, kerosene, those things aren't processing all that well. So I'm going to maybe possibly take a couple of screenshots and see what I can do. But we're going to move this downstairs. So I'll be back once that's done. Okay, I'm back. It's like 2 days later. But I moved the system. So I did some upgrades. I did some extra work to get it all working because I moved it and then it didn't work and I was having problems and I was getting frustrated. So I was like, all right, well, we got to change a lot. So for starters, we've got the advanced liquid compressors now. And those are, if I can spell, it's a fluid or a liquid compressor, which is pretty simple. It's just a upgraded air compressor into a liquid compressor. And then it's pretty simple to upgrade it. You do need these advanced pressure tubes, which needs the assembly controller, which we were already set up for. It just kind of takes it a little bit of time to do its thing. I was also messing around with quests and stuff to get stuff done. So I did craft. Do I have a bucket? I do have a bucket. So I did craft the etching acid that's made in the pressure chamber. It's pretty simple. We had all that stuff. And these PCBs you have to throw in there. So I'll show you. These guys you have to put in a light box first, and then the etch success goes up, and then you throw it in here. And then it does its thing. It doesn't despawn, so you can leave it there forever. And then the etching progress will go up. So I had some of those that I crafted, and they're in there. So we've got liquid compressors, and I was just originally running them off of lava. We don't produce lava fast enough. I thought, all right, let's turn up lava production. So we had just one crucible sitting over here over pyrotheum. It wasn't fast enough, so we've got more down. Well, turns out that wasn't fast enough either. So I decided... So to be fair, the advanced compressor, it was running pretty decent as far as getting us like some pressure running it off of lava. But I have since switched away from the lava to use LPG. Let me stand over here so I don't burn up too bad. If we take a look at the fuels, lava, this is liters per bucket. So liters of air per bucket. Lava is clear down here. So a bucket of lava is only going to give us 4 liters of air versus a bucket of LPG, which is going to give us 1,800. So it's just better. So now we're piping LPG into all these guys. So we are using a much more fuel efficient source. Now I do have to like stagger it a little bit just to make sure that it's working. Because one compressor isn't enough to power our whole entire system. And if our compressors go down, our system is not in operation and we will have some problems. But as you can see, like here, we've got a decent amount of LPG backing up, so I can actually take it from here. Now, the source of our oil, so I was using like liquefied coal. So liquefied coal gets turned into crude oil, which then gets distilled down all 4 different ways to diesel, kerosene, naphtha, and LPG. The kerosene, the diesel, and the naphtha, you can break all of those down back into LPG. It just takes more steps. What I'm currently using, is the canola press to press canola into canola oil. And then I've got 2 tanks right there. And just as a temporary measure, I can throw that one down. So I can reach it from down here, and then I just pop that down. It's going to pump that out into here. That's going to quickly get transferred because we got a ton of heat here, so that's why it's so fast. But this guy I can just place back here. And this is just a temporary setup. So I can get to it from there. When I see that fill up, when this is empty, I can place that down. So all of these things get distilled. They get pumped out into these different thermopneumatic processing plants here. This one here, the third one, let's see, the naphtha. This has to go into a refinery and gets broken down into more LPG and gasoline. And then the gasoline I'm just putting back into a thermopneumatic processing plant to make LPG. And that's right here. So you can see this third one kind of snakes around here. And then it goes on this back side. Oh, I just broke my helmet. it goes down into here. That's the naphtha. And it takes, I think it takes 300 degrees to process this. No, it only takes 100. So it's just working now. It's taking the naphtha, turning it into gasoline, and turning it into LPG. That's getting pumped out into here. The naphtha gets pumped out and into this, or the gasoline, so the LPG goes into there, and then this has a dispenser upgrade pushing up into this, which is where we're getting plastic. So we've got a full tank of plastic here, so all of the rest of the LPG is just being pumped out into that. And we've got a decent amount here that we're backing up. I just need to make sure that all of our compressors have LPG so we can continue to produce LPG. That's kind of where, kind of teetering on a chicken and egg situation right here. Now, I talked just about how a lot of my builds end up being a proof of concept, and then I have to tear them down and move them. I'm going to have to tear this down and move it. The place where we're getting our canola, so I went ahead and crafted up a plant interactor and some of these canola presses. Now these automatically output, so I crafted up 4 of them, but I have the other 3 here. But there's no point in me putting them down. I've also got a compression dynamo here that has fluid retrievers, and again, this is a super temporary. This retrieval node is pulling LPG, and this one's pulling water. So we've got power coming in here. So we've got a completely full energy cell. It looks like we're sitting near full. Like we get water from this, so that's a thing. And also this guy takes power. But what we're doing for, let's see, I need to sleep before the mobs come track me down. What we're doing for canola is using this plant interactor here, and I'm kind of expanding our complex. This plant interactor is just clicking all of these crops. And these crops I rearranged to give us our canola and everything we need for our sandwiches, which we're kind of out of. That's weird. It shouldn't be doing that. So in here, there are crops that we have extra of. This guy is harvesting, and I've got a hopper here basically filled with canola to be pumped out into this drawer. And I think I could do a full set of filtering on this with another omnidirectional hopper. Anyways, once the hopper fills up with canola, and this is full of canola, all of it gets pumped out into here or into here, into this crafter. The reason I have everything except for canola seeds going into the crafter is because these are the 9 different things that we're going to need for biofuel. So this is how we're going to get that. I'm going to have to make this a little bit faster. This will have to be rearranged, but once again, it's a proof of concept. So our main power source is going to be the biofuel, and that comes from the bioreactor here, and you can see it just takes any type of seed. So, and then we'll use that in the generator, which creates 160 RF per tick. So that will be pretty slick because that compression dynamo downstairs is only doing 40 RF per tick. So this is what I did. The expansion of the complex, just because my brain was like, do it, dig. So I went and I started to outline so we just have like more space, which is something that we're going to need because I think I'm going to move out of the basement. I know that I did dig a tunnel, or I dug underground here, right? That's what this like little silo is. But once we have, see, that's a problem. That's a big problem. Come up here. Nope. Let's see. Turn that on. Let's get a little bit of glowstone. I need to refill my glowstone. Backpack. Glowstone. Where would be a good place to put this? That should be fine. Yeah, so I'm probably gonna move everything from like the basement area here, including all of this, upstairs, because that's where our farm is and that's where our canola is. And instead of bringing the canola down here from the farm way up there, I feel like I'm just gonna move this up there, and then I'm gonna change some of the way that I'm doing my logistics and whatnot to make it make a little bit more sense. I wanted to live underground because of the heat, but I just don't think it's going to work really well. I think this guy's done now. Yeah. So these take like 5 minutes. Yeah. Create a pool of etching acid. 1 bucket is enough. Throw an empty PCB, which has been exposed in the UV light box. This process takes 5 minutes. Or you can just put it in this assembly controller. So those are the options for that. And I think I have more of these. Yeah. And then these get turned into the printed circuit boards. And printed circuit boards get turned into circuits. So we're going to have to fully automate this system. So plastic, the pressure chamber, all of that. Like, we're going to need tons and tons of pressure, which means we're going to need tons and tons of LPG, which means we're going to need tons and tons of canola, which means all of this is probably just going to go upstairs. And then what I'm going to do is get the AC unit. This guy here, and I can pretty much craft this right now. I just don't have the pneumatic armor, but that'll be the next thing that I do next episode, especially since my helmet broke. So yeah, that is everything, I think. I did make an induction smelter because for the range upgrade I needed hardened glass, and hardened glass is made with lead and obsidian. And I also moved this stuff here, which I'm going to have to move it again, but I moved it here because this is where power is at. And that is it. I do have some liquefied coal here that can go in here. Right, is there canola in here? There is. That's okay. Because we can click this to send it to the output, and then I can use this to pick it up. Now that's going to work. We'll get that liquefied coal used up. And then that canola can go in there now. But I probably, yeah, it'll use all of that almost. Still 500, dang. Okay. So I don't know, I'll just put that right there, whatever. So now we're getting canola, LPG. Now we can refine the canola. That'll be next on the process as well, because the canola, it goes into a let's see, this we can get from crude oil. What is it? The refined. Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll take the canola, we'll put it into a thermo-pneumatic processing plant, and then the crude oil that we get from that, we fractionating still the crude oil into refined canola oil. And in the refined canola oil, it can be processed more, but it's better for these. Let's take a look at LPG. Let's see. Crude oil gets us 10 to 3 LPG versus 10 to 6. So it's double. And then I'm guessing it doubles again, 10 to 12. Yeah, for crystallized. And then doubles again for the empowered oil. Yeah. So that's pretty decent. So we'll have to upgrade this as we go, but this is like way down the road. And who knows, maybe Maybe we could do it without needing to double it if we scaled it up enough. We just had enough canola being pumped in, enough canola and soul sand. Because I think the soul sand just makes it better. I'm not certain that you need it. There was a quest about that, right? There's a much way to boost per coal from liquefied coal. Oh, okay, yeah. So I think you need the soul sand for it. But yeah. This is our kind of next quest line. We've got this one here. This one completed because apparently I picked up whatever this is. I don't know what fluid fuel GC is. Any I guess it was just kerosene. I have no idea. Maybe the LPG counts for that. I don't know. But we're not taking that bitumen yet. But this is like this is like the process of tier 1. So closed loop cooling. Oh, that would be nice. So we could upgrade that guy to not need water. That would save us some energy. This is the biofuel thing. Yeah. But I think that is going to be it for this episode. Between the episodes, I think what I'm going to try and do is get this mob slaughter factory because we need pink slime to be able to make the material stoneworks factory. And this will solve our like dust, sand, and gravel problems. But we need this pink slime, which you can only get from the material stonework factory. So, and the material stonework factory will give us enough glass that we'll be able to encase this in glass. And then we don't have cacti everywhere. I mean, we do almost have a full drawer of cactus, so it doesn't matter all that much. But when we get to the point where we upgrade our water processing, like, we're going to need all this cactus when we start burning more water. I don't know how that sugarcane came out of there. But everything's working pretty well as far as our cactus and sugarcane goes. Down one more. If we sneak around the corner, we can see at the top we've got 28 stacks of cactus. And over here we've got 18 stacks of sugarcane. So we're chilling as far as that's concerned. Let me know in the comments anything that you might think would be a good way to optimize this system, or if you have any way to optimize it, let me know. Also, if you like these videos, make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. It helps out a lot. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for stopping in.